I'm attempting to create evidence of a deep dive to assess if Blackboard is in compliance with federal law. I'll employ three primary means of assessing the concerns. First, I'll delve into the LMS site. You can see here I'm at blackboard.com looking up accessibility. And I'm looking for positive future orientation toward community engagement, professional development, and published accessibility plans. So they do have a commitment to accessibility and some core beliefs. They talk about commitment to Section 508 standards and WCAG. And we know Blackboard is beginning to do some new product release. They have some current products. So let's look at what they plan to do. They remain fully committed, and they are developing in accordance with WCAG Section 508 standards. Yet the Ultra experience does not fully meet accessibility standards defined by WCAG or Section 508. So they're still doing some work in the area. See what they are currently doing. They claim they're using two sets of standards, the Section 508 WCAG guidelines as well as the W3Cs. So next I'm going to complete a Google search into legal actions. Sometimes I'll just go to Wikipedia to get my head around what's happening with the topic that I'm interested in, realizing that it is not always a reliable or credible source of information. So it looks like there's some history with the company since about 1997. As I'm reading through this document, it appears that they've had some new leadership and expansions, some mergers and acquisitions, lawsuit against rival education software company D2L. I also do not see any lawsuits here with regard to ignoring accessibility. So the next thing I would do is go and try to validate that as reliable information. Sometimes I start right with the documentation that is in the coming out of Washington Business Journal, and here's one in the Inside Higher Ed Chronicle. So let's look through those and see what we can find. Washington Business Journal, 2008, Blackboard wins patent lawsuit, and it's against its competitor Desire to Learn. So it's probably more about intellectual infringements. It must have been an appeal the next year, like Blackboard didn't fare out as well as it did the first time around. And here's the one out of the Chronicle of Higher Education in 2010. So we're dealing about 2 years later. Blackboard drops the appeal on the software patent. So the third thing that I want to do is a literature review on possible articles that compare Blackboard to other LMSs. And how I do that is I quickly put in to Scholar Google comparing LMS and accessibility. When I do that, I just quickly glance down through here. This is just a quick and dirty review of scholarly articles that have been published and are available on the internet. Evaluation of accessibility on online learning management systems, and that's from 2002. This is 2015. It's already 13 years old. And here's a book from 2013 by Seal. And it's available in PDF. It's on e-learning and disability in higher education, accessibility research and practice. So this is a current review of current literature, best practices, which is really good. But that's not really what I'm looking for in terms of identifying comparisons between the LMSs themselves. One more time quickly, I'm on the web to do this search, and there's one against Blackboard and Desire to Learn. And for the purpose of this course, I think that's what I'd like to use. And the authors evaluated them based on login, configuration, personalization, navigation, forms, help, and documentation, as well as tools, announcements, authoring tools, content, and creation. I encourage you to read the Comparison of Learning Management System Accessibility Report. To me, like this is a helpful reference. If I were really in real life comparing LMSs, I would probably contact the authors of this document to see and get a feel for what they identified, because they say here who the authors are crediting. It looks really good in terms of there's a special interest group out of desire to learn. There's also a Blackboard accessibility interest group, and it's coming out of Ohio State University, Indiana University, Bloomington. It looks to me to be a pretty valid virtual resource. So overall, what I can tell you is that the findings provide no immediate concerns, and there is a positive future orientation toward some community engagement and professional development, and then that's as evidenced by the special interest group for accessibility. And there is a published accessibility plan, but I do not see valid evidence suggesting that accessibility meets the 503 standards.